So today I wanted to talk about 6 magic items for all those dragon slayers, dragon hunters out there. So let's talk about them. So I'm going to be starting with a common magic item, and in this case we're going to be looking at Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maidens, Lantern of Tracking. So as for the Lantern of Tracking, this hooded lantern burns for 6 hours on a pint of oil, shedding bright light in a 30-foot radius and dim light in an additional 30 feet. Each Lantern of Tracking is designed to track down a certain creature, which is determined by rolling on the Lantern of Tracking table. In this case, we're going to be picking up a dragon, of course. Once determined, this creature type can't be changed. While the lantern is within 300 feet of any creature of that type, its flame turns bright green. The lantern doesn't pinpoint the creature's exact location, however, but it's still a pretty useful tracking tool. After all, it's still only a common magic item. Okay, so for our uncommon magic item, we're going to be picking up a consumable, and in this case we're going to be picking up a potion of resistance. In this case, this can be fire, radiant, psychic, poison, acid, cold, lightning, thunder. You can name any resistance and it will be there. This is a great consumable item. You have to remember, fighting a dragon, especially the new ones from Fizzbands, you are going to be dealing with damage types like radiant or psychic or necrotic in some instances. In most cases, you're going to be dealing with fire and the like anyway. So having these consumables on hand to fight dragons is going to be absolutely clutch, and it lasts up to an hour when you use them. Although if you wanted something a bit more permanent, a rare item that is the Ring of Resistance, or perhaps an armor that gives you the same effect, could also be quite useful. But in this case, this was my pick for the uncommon magic item. I think it's quite useful as it's quite versatile in that sense, because if you have a bunch of consumables on hand, you're going to be using them a lot more than having this one item that can resist this one type of damage. Unless that's the type of dragon that you are hunting, perhaps. I couldn't make a list of dragon hunting materials without picking, of course, the Dragon Slayer sword. You gain a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon. When you hit a dragon with this weapon, the dragon takes an extra 3d6 damage of the weapon's type. For the purpose of this weapon, a dragon refers to any creature with a dragon type, including dragon turtles and wyverns. Although I'm not a big fan of swords in D&D in general, I think a sword and a dragon are they just go together, you know what I mean? Besides, you could always make the Dragon Slayer into a bow or a glaive or really anything. It's up to your heart's content, really, as long as your DM is very friendly with homebrew, of course. Any Dragon Slayer caught without their armor is not a good image, and in this case we're going to be picking up Dragon Scale Mail. This is a very rare magic item. It requires attunement, and the Dragon Scale Mail is made of the scales of one kind of dragon. Sometimes dragons collect their cast-off scales and give them to humanoids. Other times, hunters carefully skin and preserve the hide of a dead dragon. In either case, Dragon Scale Mail is highly valued. While wearing this armor, you gain a +1 bonus to your AC. You have advantage on saving throws against the frightful presence and breath weapons of dragons. You also have additional resistance to one damage type that is determined by the kind of dragon that provided the scales. Additionally, you can focus your senses as an action to magically discern the distance and direction to the closest dragon within 30 miles of you that is the same type as your armor. This special action can't be used again until the next dawn. And of course, as you can see, these are the resistant types and such. So let's talk about our legendary item, and in this case we're going to be picking up the Wreath of the Prism. This item is unique as it's a vestige of Divergence. Best way to describe it is it levels up as you level up. So it gains more features as you gain levels. So it's kind of a cool magic item in that sense. It feels a little bit more progressive, you know. So as for the Wreath of the Prism, this loop of golden thorns is inset with dozens of gems representing the 5 colors of Tiamat, the goddess of evil dragons. While wearing the Wreath in its dormant state, you have dark vision out of range of 60 feet. If you already have it though, you gain an increase of 60 feet instead. When you hit a beast, dragon, or monstrosity of a challenge rating of 5 or lower with an attack, or when you grapple it, you can use the Wreath to cast Dominate Monster on the creature. The DC is a 13. On a successful save, the target is immune to the power of the Wreath for 24 hours. On a failure, a golden image of the Wreath appears as a collar around the target's neck. So in its awakened form, basically, the challenge rating increases to 10, and the DC is a 15 now instead. And as an exalted version, the challenge rating increases to 15 or lower, and the DC, of course, increases to 17. This is an amazing way to be able to capture your foes and turn them against each other, or perhaps even just dominate and control the beasts. So for the last magic item on this list, I want to talk about the Horde of Magic items. These were introduced in Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. I'll link down a video below, as I've done a video discussing in more detail of these topics and these magic items. So if you want to give it a look, go ahead, I'd appreciate it. But we'll get back into this video, as I want to talk about this magic item, specifically the Scaled Ornament. This Scaled Ornament requires attunement. This ornament can be jewelry or a cloak or another wearable accessory. It appears to be fashioned from a dragon's scale, tooth, or claw, or incorporated images in those shapes. So in its slumbering condition, you have advantage on saving throws when you make to avoid being charmed or frightened, or to end those conditions on yourself. In its stirring state, you gain a +1 to your AC, and you can't be charmed or frightened. Moreover, each creature of your choice within 30 feet of you has advantage on saving throws it makes to avoid being charmed or frightened, or end those conditions on itself. In its wakened state, in addition, when you take damage of the type dealt by the breath weapon of the dragon in whose horde the ornament became awakened, you can use your reaction to take no damage instead, and you regain a number of hit points equal to the damage you would have taken. Once this property is used, you can't use it until the next dawn. Of course, when it reaches its ascendant level ability, the ornament has a stirring and waken properties. In addition, while you are wearing the ornament, you gain a flying speed equal to your walking speed and can hover. While you are flying using the speed, spectral dragon wings appear on your back. As for the Horde magic items, these items are really interesting, and they definitely feel similar to the vestiges of Divergence, although they have their own unique mechanic, and I talk about it more in detail in my Fizban's Treasure of Dragons Volume 2 video, but that's besides the point. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that these magic items help you become that monster hunter, no, that dragon hunter you've always wanted to be. So this has been JohnnyGMs. I'll talk to you guys later.